by the Bush administration's response to the attacks on September 11th. We never had the opportunity to expand the campaigns that were launched there. And one of the campaigns that was launched was the work of the Palestine Solidarity Committee. And I just wanted to quote from the call that was issued on August 31st, 2001, in Durban, South Africa, the call issued by the Palestine Solidarity Committee. We South Africans who have lived through apartheid cannot be silent as another entire people are treated as non-human beings, people without rights or human dignity and facing daily humiliation. We cannot permit a ruthless state to use military jets, helicopter guns, ships, and tanks on civilians. We cannot accept state assassinations of activists, the torture of political prisoners, the murder of children, and collective punishment. We South Africans who lived for decades under rulers with a colonial mentality see Israeli occupation as a strange survival of colonialism in the 21st century. Only in Israel do we hear of settlements and settlers. Only in Israel do soldiers and armed civilian groups take over hilltops, demolish homes, uproot trees, and destroy crops, shell schools, churches, and mosques, plunder water reserves, and block access to an indigenous population's freedom of movement and right to earn a living. These human rights violations are unacceptable were unacceptable in apartheid South Africa and are an affront to us in apartheid Israel. Now, as I was saying, today Israel enjoys a similar immunity that other states and governments have enjoyed in the past. It enjoys the same immunity that the U.S. has enjoyed for so many years with respect to the charges of racism. You know, racism, both here and in Israel, has been treated as a minor blemish on an otherwise shining democracy. And we have not yet been able to persuade governments of the North, at least countries like the US and Canada and Australia, that Israel's official anti-Palestinian policies are racist. And we know from Kiana and others that that is also about their policies being sexist and heterosexist as well. But I wanted to do a little more history work here, because I can remember in 1975 when the General Assembly passed Resolution 3379. Does anybody remember that? When I say remember, I'm not saying you had to be alive then. I'm just asking you if you have that historical memory. That's something else, right? Not individual personal memory. Okay, and that is my timer. So let's see if I can wind up really quickly. So I wanted to quote a bit from the Resolution 3379, because that is the resolution that defined, in which the United Nations General Assembly defined Zionism as racism. That was in 1975, and they referred to the unholy alliance between South African racism and Zionism, and they referred to the declaration in Mexico at the Women's Conference in '75 on the equality of women, which promulgated the principle that international cooperation and peace require the achievement of national liberation and independence, the elimination of colonialism and neocolonialism, foreign occupation, Zionism, apartheid, and racial discrimination in all its forms, as well as the recognition of the dignity of peoples and their rights to self-determination. That was in 1975. That was before the vast majority of this audience was born. And so why are we still having to involve ourselves in the same struggle? At the end, you can Google the resolution, 3379, right? And you can read the entire resolution. It concludes by determining that Zionism is a form of racism and racial discrimination. Now, okay, I have no more time. I was going to refer to the recent conference boycotted by the U.S., right? And Australia and New Zealand, the Netherlands, Germany. This was a conference on racism, UN conference on racism, held last month in Geneva. And you see, we have to, I mean, I know it's really wonderful to have Obama as president. And I like him and all of that, I really do. And he's done some, wonderful things. But on this question, he's been really bad. He's been very, very bad. Very bad. And precisely because we are so excited to have him as our president. I don't think I've ever said our president. I always say the president, not my president. But precisely because it is so exciting, we have to create the kind of movements that will generate tension to compel him to address those issues that he is not now addressing.